Starting with this basic diagram, there's numerous ways that the look and feel of the diagram can be improved. For example, the positioning of the labels. If we right-click the start event here, we have several options for the annotation positioning, what's referred to as horizontal alignment and vertical alignment. So here, let's make the label center aligned, and now let's make the label vertically aligned outside the top, such as that. ABACUS will make the label width match the width of the shape by default. Alternatively, if you'd like to force the label to be a certain number of lines, again, right-click the shape, go into annotation, this time with line count, change it from auto to the number of lines you like, say 2. And you can see that the label is forced onto 2 lines, as shown here. If you'd like to change the annotation settings for all of the shapes on a given diagram, that can be done via the stencil. For example, on the process, we could change the annotation's vertical alignment to be inside top, instead of auto as it is here. Auto placement allows the label to be vertically aligned center when there is no children, but as soon as a children appears, the label will appear outside. Anyway, let's choose inside top for now. We can see here that both new process 1 and new process 2's labels are inside top. Similarly, font styles can be changed either directly for the instances on the diagram or globally for the diagram from the stencil. For example, let's change the end event font style to be, say, Arial and maybe 14 point here. You can see the end event font style changes here. The colors of the shapes on the diagrams can be manually set by right-clicking as well. For example, if we change new process to change color and choose a fixed color or a gradient, for example, let's do a fixed color now of, say, green. You can see that the shape goes green here. Now alternatively, of course, we could set the colors globally for the diagram from the stencil. For example here, change all processes to be, say, orange in this case. Now notice how, when we do this, any of the local settings are overridden now, so that both processes have gone orange. The look and feel of the connectors on ABACUS diagrams can be changed as well. For example, this connector here, if we right-click, we can choose to show the annotation to start with. In this case, it's singly called a sequence flow. We can also choose to add anchor points. To add an anchor point, you hold down the Shift key and click. You can see now a little white dot there showing an anchor point. This anchor point can be dragged in whichever direction you'd like. For example, to be here, to be an orthogonal connector like that. Connections can be curved as well. So if we were to hover over this connector, right-click, change it from straight to curved, we would see that this connector goes curved. Now curved connections of course need anchor points. So if we were to add an additional one, holding down Shift and clicked, we could show how the connector moves here. Now to remove anchor points, regardless of whether a line is curved or straight, we hover over the anchor point again, hold down Shift and click. Connections color and weight can also be set. Let's go to the Connections tab here. On the sequence flow, let's right-click and choose Change Color. So instead of black, let's make these, say, blue connections. Notice how they go blue on the diagram. Now let's change their weight to be much more than 2 point. Let's make them 7 point. Here we can see some very thick blue connections. To align shapes in ABACUS, you simply need to multi-select the shapes you wish to align. Holding down the Control key, for example, let's click the Start event, the New process, and the New event here. Now, with one of those elements, right-click, and you get Align. We have the options to align left, right, vertical, top, bottom, or horizontal. In this case, let's align their tops. And you can notice how the two start events move there. Alternatively, let's right-click one, and this time, let's align horizontally to align their centers. We can see the alignment happening here. And while the shapes and lines in a diagram are set according to a viewpoint, these can be changed using ABACUS Designer. But separately, you can add freeform shapes to a diagram. If you go to the Shapes tab, you'll have your entire shapes library, which is updatable from Visio. So if we had to scroll down here, for example, and use a sticky note shape, we can drop that onto the diagram, as we can see here. Now, freeform shapes aren't linked to any repository elements, and so they're not bound by any of the hierarchical rules or constraints as per the repository, and can be placed anywhere you like on a diagram.